The new CEO, Cassidy Hart, sits across from me in the conference room on her first day. She slides a termination letter across the polished table. Her voice is cheerful, almost singing. "Your time is over," she says, as if announcing good news. "I built the client services division that generates 40% of company revenue. 7 years of my life." She dismisses it with a flick of her wrist. "Security will escort you out." My mind races not with panic, but with anticipation. She has no idea what is coming tomorrow morning. The security guards flank me as I walk through the office. 130 employees watch in stunned silence. My desk has already been cleared by Cassidy's assistant. Personal photos, awards from clients, the small ceramic plant holder my team gave me for my 30th birthday, all thrown carelessly into a cardboard box with the company logo printed on the side. Former colleagues I mentored, people I hired personally, trained from entry-level positions, avoid eye contact. They're terrified they might be next on Cassidy's list. I remain eerily calm. Actually, I'm almost smiling. Cassidy watches from her new corner office, the one that was mine until this morning, with pure satisfaction radiating from her face. She thinks she's won something. As I'm escorted past the glass-walled conference rooms where I closed deals worth millions, past the break room where my team celebrated project launches, I think about how this all started 3 months ago. My estranged Aunt Helena died at age 87 in her Boston brownstone. I barely knew the woman. We met maybe 4 times in my entire life at various family weddings and funerals. She was a reclusive real estate mogul who never married, never had children, and apparently decided her niece, who actually worked for a living, deserved her fortune. $190 million. The inheritance was finalized 6 weeks ago. I told absolutely no one at work. Not my closest colleagues, not even Trevor Baldwin, the CFO who became a genuine friend over the years. I kept living in my same apartment, driving my same Honda, eating lunch at the same deli on 43rd Street. I needed time to process what having that kind of money actually meant. 2 months ago, I learned our company was being acquired by Bridgemont Capital, a private equity firm with a reputation for gutting companies and flipping them for profit. I knew what was coming. PE firms bring in new executives who slash costs, fire long-term employees, and destroy everything that made a company special in the first place. They care about quarterly returns, not people. So I started quietly investigating. Through a wealth management contact I met during the inheritance process, I discovered Bridgemont was buying the company for $350 million. Their plan was predictable and brutal: cut headcount by 40%, eliminate benefits, squeeze clients for higher fees, then flip the company in 3 years for a profit. I couldn't let that happen. Not to the people I hired, not to the clients I built relationships with over 7 years, not to something I created from absolutely nothing. 5 weeks ago, I hired a mergers and acquisitions attorney named Philip Warren, sharp guy in his mid-50s, quiet but brilliant, with a reputation for getting deals done. I set up a shell corporation called Sentinel Holdings. Then I did something crazy. I approached Bridgemont with a competing offer, $375 million, $25 million more than their agreed price. Bridgemont accepted immediately. More profit for them, cleaner exit, no operational headaches. The deal was structured to close the morning after the new CEO's first day. I specifically requested this timing through Philip. I wanted to see what kind of person Cassidy Hart really was before deciding whether to keep her on. Well, now I know exactly what kind of person she is. That evening, I sit in my apartment overlooking the East River. The city lights shimmer on the water. My phone rings. Philip's name appears on the screen. "Everything is set," he says. "The acquisition call is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Board members, executives, and the new CEO will all be present. The chairman will make the announcement." "And they still don't know I'm the buyer," I confirm. "Sentinel Holdings," he says. "Completely anonymous. They think it's another private equity firm. Nobody has any idea it's you." "Perfect. See you tomorrow morning, Philip." I hang up and pour myself a glass of wine. I'm not much of a drinker, but tonight feels like a moment worth marking. I stand by the window and think about why I did this. Originally, it wasn't about revenge. I set this plan in motion before Cassidy ever fired me. I bought the company because I love what I built, and couldn't stand watching it be destroyed by people who only see numbers on a spreadsheet. But now that Cassidy fired me without even reviewing my work, without talking to a single client, without spending 1 minute trying to understand what I contributed to this company, now that I saw her callous, arrogant dismissal of 7 years of dedication, the reveal tomorrow morning will be so much sweeter than I ever imagined. I risked everything. $190 million. My entire inheritance from a woman I barely knew. But I believe in this company's value. I believe in the people. And tomorrow, I'll prove that believing in something is worth more than just taking a paycheck and walking away. My phone buzzes with a text from my college roommate asking if I'm okay. Word travels fast. I text back that I'm fine. Better than fine, actually, and I'll explain everything soon. Then I set my alarm for 6 a.m. and try to sleep. Tomorrow is going to be one of the most satisfying days of my life. I enter the building at 8:45 a.m., wearing a navy suit I bought specifically for this moment. Professional, confident, expensive, without being flashy. Security tries to stop me in the lobby. "Ma'am, you're not authorized to be here. You were terminated yesterday." Philip steps forward, his leather briefcase in hand. "She's the new owner of this company. Let her through." The guard's face goes blank with confusion, but he steps aside. We take the elevator to the 42nd floor. My heart is pounding, but my hands are steady. The conference room is already filling up. 8 board members, several executives I've worked with for years, and Cassidy sitting at the head of the table looking confident and composed. The large monitor at the front of the room flickers to life. Douglas Whitmore appears on screen. He's the chairman of Bridgemont Capital, 63 years old with silver hair and the kind of face that's seen 1,000 business deals. He looks almost bored. "Good morning, everyone," Douglas begins. "As you know, Bridgemont was acquiring this company for $350 million. Past tense, was acquiring." I see Cassidy's expression shift slightly, a tiny crack in her confidence. "However," Douglas continues, "we received a superior offer of $375 million from Sentinel Holdings. We accepted their offer. The acquisition closed at midnight last night." He pauses. The room is completely silent. You could hear someone breathing. "I'd like to introduce you to the new majority owner of your company." My face appears on the screen next to Douglas. My name pops up in bold letters underneath. Joan Rivera, majority owner, Sentinel Holdings. Cassidy's confident smirk freezes on her face. It's like watching someone get hit with ice water. Shock, disbelief, and then pure rage flash across her features in rapid succession. Board members gasp. Someone drops a pen. Trevor's mouth literally falls open. "This is impossible," Cassidy stammers. "She was fired yesterday. She's nobody." I speak for the first time, my voice calm and clear. "I'm the owner, Cassidy, and your services are no longer needed. You're terminated, effective immediately." I use her exact words from yesterday. The symmetry is not lost on anyone in the room. "You can't do this," Cassidy says, standing up so fast her chair rolls backward. "I absolutely can," I reply. "Security, please escort Miss Hart from the building." 2 security guards enter, the same ones who escorted me out yesterday. They look almost pleased about this reversal. Cassidy tries to argue, her voice rising, but the guards are professional and firm. Within 3 minutes, she's gone. The conference room door closes behind her, and there's a moment of absolute stunned silence. I turn to the board members. "I understand this is unexpected. Let me explain my vision. I built this company's most profitable division from nothing. I won't let it be gutted by cost-cutting measures that destroy what makes us special. I plan to invest, grow, and protect jobs. I need reports on all divisions by end of week. I want to meet with every department head individually." The board members look relieved. They feared PE-style cuts. Now they're seeing someone who actually cares about the company's future. We spend the next 90 minutes going through transition details, legal paperwork, operational questions. It's tedious but necessary. When the call finally ends, I feel triumphant. I did it. I bought the company, fired the person who fired me, and set things on the right course. For about 45 minutes, I feel like I've won. Then Trevor pulls me aside. His face is pale. "We need to talk." Privately, right now. We go into a small office down the hall. Trevor closes the door and leans against it like he's blocking bad news from escaping. There's a catastrophe you need to know about, he says. Yesterday, on her first and only day, Cassidy had a call with Meridian Systems. My stomach drops. Meridian is our largest client. They represent 38% of our annual revenue, $67 million. I built that relationship personally over 4 years. What happened? I ask, already knowing it's nothing good. Trevor takes a deep breath. Cassidy tried to renegotiate their contract. She called their current terms overpriced and underperforming. She demanded they pay 20% more or she'd terminate the relationship. I feel my face flush with anger. She did what? Arthur Walsh called me personally, Trevor continues. He was furious. He sent a termination notice within the hour. Meridian is canceling their contract effective in 30 days. It's legal per the termination clause. I tried calling Arthur back to explain, but he won't take calls from anyone at this company. He said he's done with us. The decision is final. I sink into a chair. This is worse than I thought. I just paid $375 million for a company that's about to lose its biggest client. Without Meridian, we'll be unprofitable. The company's value will plummet. I spent $190 million of my own money plus $85 million in bank loans. If we lose Meridian, the banks will panic. They'll demand immediate loan repayment. I could lose everything. Can I call Arthur myself? I ask. Explain that Cassidy is gone? Trevor shakes his head. I already suggested that. He won't hear it. He said anyone who would hire someone like Cassidy doesn't deserve his business. Arthur Walsh built Meridian from nothing, just like I built my division. He's 55 years old, famously proud, and notoriously stubborn. Once he makes a decision, he sticks with it. But I have to try something. Where is Meridian headquartered? I ask. Philadelphia, Trevor says. I stand up. I'm going there. Right now. I'll wait in his lobby all day if I have to. He can refuse phone calls, but it's harder to refuse someone sitting in front of you. Trevor looks skeptical but hopeful. It's worth a shot. But Joanne, if this doesn't work, we're in serious trouble. I know, I tell him. That's why it has to work. The drive to Philadelphia takes 2 hours in midday traffic. I rehearse what I'll say to Arthur Walsh at least 50 times. I need to be humble but confident, apologetic but not desperate. The balance is crucial. I park in a garage near Meridian's headquarters and walk 3 blocks to a modern glass building in Center City. The lobby is impressive. High ceilings, contemporary art, a water feature along one wall. I approach the reception desk where a young woman in a crisp blouse looks up at me with a professional smile. I need to see Arthur Walsh. It's urgent. Do you have an appointment? She asks politely. No, but I'm the new owner of his vendor company. I need 5 minutes of his time. She makes a phone call, speaking quietly into the receiver. After a moment, she shakes her head. I'm sorry. Mr. Walsh doesn't want to see anyone from your company. I understand, I say. But I'll wait. I'll sit right here until he changes his mind. The receptionist looks uncomfortable, but doesn't call security. I sit in one of the modern chairs near the window and settle in. I check my email on my phone, trying to look patient and professional rather than desperate. Other visitors come and go. Deliveries arrive. People in suits have hushed conversations. I just sit. 2 hours pass. Then 3. My back starts to hurt from the uncomfortable chair. The receptionist occasionally glances at me with something like pity. At 2:30 in the afternoon, I'm considering whether this was a terrible idea when the elevator doors open and a tall man in a gray suit walks through the lobby. Arthur Walsh. I recognize him from our video calls over the years. He's heading toward the exit when I stand up quickly. Mr. Walsh, please. 5 minutes. That's all I ask. He stops and turns to look at me. You're the woman who bought the company? The one who was fired? Yes. And the person who insulted you was fired by me this morning. I own the company now. I built the client services division from nothing 7 years ago. I know every detail of your account. I structured our original contract myself. Please give me a chance to make this right. Arthur studies me for a long moment. Something in his expression shifts. 5 minutes. My office. We take the elevator to the 20th floor. His office has floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Photos of his family line the credenza. He gestures to a chair and sits behind his desk, arms crossed. Talk, he says simply. I built our relationship with Meridian personally, I begin. Every contract term, every service level, every pricing structure was designed to benefit both companies. Cassidy Hart was CEO for exactly 1 day. She destroyed everything without understanding what she was destroying. I just bought this company to protect it from private equity vultures who would have gutted it. I value our partnership more than I value profit. I'm willing to renegotiate terms if that's what it takes. Arthur leans back in his chair. I've been working with your team for 4 years. Your people are excellent, professional, responsive, genuinely good at what they do. But when that woman called me yesterday and spoke to me like I was an idiot trying to cheat her, I couldn't let it stand. I've built Meridian over 23 years. Nobody talks to me that way. I understand completely, I say. If someone spoke to me that way, I'd do the same thing. Your reputation matters. Your dignity matters. I get it. He nods slowly. Tell you what, I'll give you 1 chance. But I want a 20% discount on our contract for the next year. After that, we'll return to original terms if things go well. I do the math quickly in my head. A 20% discount means losing $13 million over 12 months. But keeping the contract is worth it. Losing Meridian would cost $67 million and destroy the company's credibility with other clients. Deal, I say, extending my hand. Arthur shakes it firmly. You've got guts. I respect that. Don't make me regret this. I won't, I promise. Thank you for giving me a chance. The drive back to New York feels triumphant. I saved the company's biggest client. Yes, it costs $13 million, but the company survives. I call Trevor from the car and tell him the news. He actually cheers. I arrive back at the office at 7 p.m. Most employees have gone home, but Trevor is waiting. His expression stops me cold. Not again. What now? I ask, already exhausted. He's with Marcus Palmer, our head of IT. Marcus is 31, brilliant with computers, and currently looks like he might be sick. We have a major problem, Marcus says. Cassidy accessed our proprietary software yesterday. Our company developed a custom client management platform called Apex. My team spent 3 years building it. It's worth approximately $40 million and gives us a huge competitive advantage. No other company in our industry has anything like it. Show me, I say. Marcus opens his laptop and pulls up security logs. Here. Yesterday at 2:15 p.m., 4 hours before she fired you, Cassidy downloaded the entire Apex source code. Every line of programming. 3 years of development work. She copied it to a personal USB drive. She also downloaded our complete client database. Every contact, every contract term, every pricing structure. I feel anger rising in my chest. How did she have access? As CEO, she had administrative privileges to everything. I only discovered this now during a routine security audit. I pull up Cassidy's employment history on my phone. Trevor, look at this. She's joining Titan Solutions next month. Titan is our biggest competitor. If Cassidy gives them Apex and our client database, they can steal every single one of our clients. They'll offer identical services at lower prices because they didn't spend 3 years and millions developing the software. They'll know exactly what prices to undercut because they have all our contract terms. The company will be destroyed within 6 months. I need to call Philip, I say. 20 minutes later, I'm on the phone with my attorney explaining the situation. Philip listens carefully and then sighs. We need to file for an emergency injunction, he says. Stop Cassidy from using or sharing what she stole. But Joanne, emergency injunctions are hard to get. We need to prove immediate, irreparable harm. She stole $40 million worth of proprietary software and our entire client database, I say. That's immediate harm. We'll file first thing tomorrow morning, but prepare for a fight. Cassidy will have lawyers too. This could get expensive and complicated. I don't care about expensive. I care about stopping her. After I hang up, I sit in my office alone. The city lights sparkle below. 24 hours ago, I was fired. Now I own the company. saved our biggest client, and discovered corporate theft. The roller coaster is making me dizzy, but I'm not giving up. Not now, not ever. 2 days later, I sit in a Manhattan courtroom. It's smaller than I expected from watching legal dramas on television. The judge is a stern-looking woman in her 60s, named Judge Patricia Morrison. Philip and his associate sit at our table with folders of evidence. Across the aisle, Cassidy sits with 2 attorneys from a massive corporate firm. Philip presents our case methodically. Security logs showing the exact time Cassidy downloaded the Apex source code. Timestamps proving she did this hours before firing me. Expert testimony about the software's value and competitive advantage. Documentation showing she's joining our biggest competitor next month. He argues clearly that Cassidy stole trade secrets and must be enjoined from using them. Cassidy's lead attorney stands. He's a man in his 50s with an expensive suit and a practiced air of boredom. Your Honor, as CEO, Miss Hart had legal access to all company files. Reviewing company software is part of standard CEO duties. There is no evidence she shared it with anyone. Miss Rivera fired my client without cause and is now retaliating with false accusations. The judge asks questions. Why did she copy it to a personal device? Why download the client database if she was just reviewing the software? Why did this hours before firing the person who built the division? Cassidy's attorney has smooth answers for everything, but they sound hollow. After 90 minutes, Judge Morrison makes her ruling. I'm granting a temporary restraining order for 14 days. Miss Hart cannot share, use, or distribute the downloaded materials during this period. However, a full hearing will determine if a permanent injunction is warranted. Both sides will present additional evidence at that time. It's a small victory. 14 days of protection. But Philip warns me as we leave the courthouse. The full hearing is in 2 weeks. We need to prove she intended to steal it, not just review it. That's harder than it sounds. That afternoon, I chair my first official board meeting as owner. 8 board members sit around the conference table. I present my plan to stabilize the company after Cassidy's brief but destructive tenure. Most board members are supportive. They ask good questions, offer helpful suggestions, seem genuinely relieved to have leadership that cares about more than quarterly profits. But one board member is openly hostile. Gerald Hutchinson. He's 57, an investment banker with gray hair and a perpetual expression of disapproval. He's been on the board for 6 years and apparently doesn't like the new arrangement. This is a risky strategy, Gerald says, interrupting my presentation about investing in employee development. We should be cutting costs, not increasing them. The board should appoint an experienced CEO instead of letting you run the company yourself. I have 7 years of experience building the most profitable division, I reply calmly. I know this business better than anyone. You're 32 years old, Gerald says dismissively. You inherited money and bought a company you don't know how to run. This board has a fiduciary duty to all shareholders, not just you. Other board members look uncomfortable but don't intervene. Philip, sitting in his legal counsel, leans over and whispers, he can do this. Even though you own 51%, the board can recommend actions. If they recommend replacing you, and you refuse, minority shareholders could sue for breach of fiduciary duty. Gerald calls for a vote. Should Joanne remain as CEO, or should we hire someone with more experience? I can't believe this is happening. The vote is 5-3 in my favor. I keep my role, but the division is clear. Gerald and 2 others don't want me here. After the meeting, Trevor pulls me aside again. I'm starting to dread these private conversations. He looks grim. I've been investigating Gerald, Trevor says quietly. He's on the board of directors of Titan Solutions. I stare at him. Our biggest competitor? That's a massive conflict of interest. Exactly. He's been on both boards for 3 years. I confront Gerald in the hallway outside the conference room. He doesn't even try to deny it. I've disclosed my position at Titan. It's in the paperwork somewhere. Perfectly legal as long as I disclose it. Did you disclose it properly? I ask. Gerald smirks. It's been documented. You're welcome to review historical board materials. Later that evening, I do exactly that. I find one brief mention buried in board meeting minutes from 3 years ago. technically disclosed, but in a way nobody would notice or remember. I realize with growing horror that Gerald probably helped Cassidy get hired. He's been working to sabotage this company from the inside. He wants it to fail so Titan can acquire the pieces cheaply. My phone buzzes with an email notification. The sender address is anonymous. No subject line, just an attachment. I almost delete it as spam, but something makes me open it instead. The attachment contains internal Titan communications, emails between Gerald and Cassidy going back 6 months. They planned everything. The whole scheme was orchestrated from the beginning. Get Cassidy hired as CEO, have her steal the Apex software, fire key employees including me, destroy client relationships, tank the company's value. Then Titan acquires it for pennies and has both the software and the client base. It was sophisticated corporate sabotage, and I almost walked right into it. I forward the emails to Philip immediately. We need an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow morning. I'm presenting this evidence and demanding Gerald's removal. Philip calls me back within 10 minutes. Joanne, if you do this, Gerald and Cassidy will fight back hard. Lawsuits, countersuits, litigation that could last years. Your ownership could be challenged. Everything could fall apart. I don't care, I say. He tried to destroy this company. He betrayed every fiduciary duty he has. He's gone. I spend the night preparing my presentation. Tomorrow, I'm exposing the entire conspiracy. The emergency board meeting starts at 8 a.m. I present the anonymous emails methodically. Communication between Gerald and Cassidy dating back 6 months. Plans to steal Apex. Strategies to fire me specifically. Discussions about tanking client relationships. Everything documented in their own words. These are fabricated, Gerald says immediately. Anyone can fake emails. This is a desperate attempt to distract from your own failures. But the other board members have seen enough. They ask hard questions. Why is he communicating with someone being considered for CEO before she's hired? Why are they discussing company strategy when he's on a competitor's board? Why didn't he recuse himself from the CEO hiring decision if he had a relationship with the candidate? Gerald has no good answers. His face turns red. He threatens to sue me for defamation. But the damage is done. The board votes 7-1 to remove him immediately. Gerald is escorted out, shouting threats about lawyers and lawsuits. The door closes behind him with a satisfying click. For a brief moment, I feel like I'm finally getting control. Cassidy is restrained by court order. Gerald is gone. The Meridian contract is saved. Maybe things will stabilize now. Maybe I can actually run this company without constant crises. The next morning destroys that hope. Trevor is waiting outside my office when I arrive at 7:30 a.m. His face has that expression I've come to dread, the one that means something terrible has happened. The bank froze our line of credit, he says, without preamble. Continental First is calling the loan. They want $85 million. Immediately. I feel my stomach drop. Continental First provided $85 million of the acquisition financing. The loan terms give them the right to call it if they perceive increased risk to their investment. I'm on the phone with their VP, Sharon Winters, within 5 minutes. Sharon is professional but firm. She explains the bank's position. The CEO was fired after 1 day. We're in litigation with her. A board member was removed for alleged conspiracy. Our biggest client almost left. They see the company as high risk now. But the client stayed, I argue. We're profitable. Our revenue is solid. Nevertheless, Sharon says, we're exercising our right to call the loan. You have 7 days to repay $85 million, or we'll begin foreclosure proceedings. After I hang up, I do the math. I spent $190 million of my inheritance on the acquisition. I have $37 million left in liquid assets. I need $85 million. I'm $48 million short. I could try to find new investors, but that takes time. 7 days isn't enough. That afternoon, Carmen Hayes, our HR director, reports more bad news. Carmen is 42, been with the company 9 years, and looks like she's aged 10 years in the past week. 23 employees resigned this morning. Another 31 submitted resignations effective in 2 weeks. 54 employees total, nearly half the company. I call an emergency all-hands meeting. The remaining 76 employees gather in the main conference room. The fear is palpable. Rumors are spreading. The company is bankrupt. The bank is foreclosing. Everyone will be fired soon. Cassidy is apparently spreading lies on social media that I don't know what I'm doing, that I bought the company on a whim with inherited money and have no business running anything. I try to reassure them. I explain we're going through temporary challenges but have a solid plan. I promise their jobs are safe. But I can see the doubt in their eyes. Some believe me. Others are already mentally checked out, just waiting for better offers. Over the next 2 days, 3 smaller clients cancel contracts. They're spooked by the employee exodus and the rumors. That's $8 million in annual revenue. Gone. The company is in free fall. I'm losing employees, clients, and facing foreclosure. Everything I bought, everything I fought for, is crumbling. Late that night, my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Joanne, it's Arthur Walsh. I brace myself for him to cancel the Meridian contract too. This would be the final blow. I heard about your banking crisis, Arthur says. I also heard you're a fighter. I'm willing to help. I'm so surprised I can't speak for a moment. Arthur continues. Meridian will prepay our annual contract. That's $54 million after the discount we negotiated. It's enough to save your company if you can find the remaining $31 million. Why would you do this? I ask. Because I believe in betting on people who don't quit, he says simply. But I want something in return. A seat on your board and a guaranteed contract renewal for 5 years. I don't even hesitate. Deal. Absolutely. The $54 million is wired the next morning. I'm overwhelmed by Arthur's faith in me. But I still need $31 million more, and I have 3 days left before the bank forecloses. I liquidate everything personal I have. My apartment, my car, investment accounts, retirement funds. I get to $24 million, still $7 million short. I'm sitting in my office at midnight, staring at spreadsheets, trying to figure out where to find $7 million in 2 days, when I realize I might actually lose everything. I spend 2 days in absolute desperation. I call every investor contact I made during the acquisition, every wealthy person I've ever met. Anyone who might have money and be willing to take a risk on a company in crisis. Everyone says no. Too risky, too unstable, too much drama, not enough time to do due diligence. On the 6th day, with 24 hours left before Continental First forecloses and seizes everything, my phone rings. It's Trevor. Come to the conference room, he says. Right now. I walk down the hall feeling numb. I've barely slept in days. I've eaten nothing but coffee and granola bars. I probably look terrible. When I open the conference room door, I find Trevor, Carmen, Marcus, and 44 other employees waiting. They're sitting around the table and standing along the walls. What's happening? I ask. Trevor stands up. We've been talking, all of us. We know you're $7 million short. We know the bank forecloses tomorrow if you don't pay. So we pooled our savings, all of us together. He slides a folder across the table. Inside is documentation showing contributions from 47 employees, amounts ranging from $20,000 to $300,000. People giving their emergency funds, their kids' college savings, their house down payments. Together, they raised $4,300,000. We believe in you, Carmen says. We believe in this company. We're not letting it die. I have tears in my eyes. I can't help it. These people are risking everything because they trust me. But I'm still $2,700,000 short. So close, but not close enough. I call Philip Warren at 6 p.m. Philip, I need a miracle. Do you know anyone who might invest $2.7 million in the next 18 hours? Philip is quiet for a long moment. Then he says something I'll never forget. I'll invest. My wife and I have been saving for retirement. We have $3 million. It's yours if you need it. Philip, I can't ask you to risk your retirement. You're not asking, he says. I'm offering. I believe you'll turn this around. I've seen how hard you fight. That's worth investing in. At 9 p.m., with 3 hours to spare before the midnight deadline, I wire $85 million to Continental First Bank. The loan is paid in full. The company is saved from foreclosure. I check my personal bank account balance. $14. That's what I have left after liquidating everything and combining it with the investments from my employees and Philip. Everything I own is now tied up in this company. The next morning, I gather the employees who invested. I thank them personally. I promise them they made the right choice. Morale improves noticeably. The employees who left start hearing the company stabilized. Some call asking if they can come back. I'm selective about who I rehire. I want people who believe in what we're building, not people who jump ship at the first sign of trouble. For one day, things feel hopeful. We survived. We're still standing. Maybe the worst is over. Then the process server arrives at my office at 9 a.m. I'm being served with legal papers, multiple lawsuits. I flip through the pages with growing horror. Cassidy is suing for wrongful termination, claiming $50 million in damages. She's also filing a separate lawsuit claiming she's owed the Apex software because she contributed to its development as CEO. Another lawsuit for defamation, claiming I falsely accused her of theft. And a shareholder derivative lawsuit claiming I mismanaged the company. 4 massive lawsuits totaling over $200 million. Philip reviews the documents in my office. His face is grim. These are mostly absurd claims. She'll likely lose all of them, but defending against 4 lawsuits will cost millions in legal fees. Discovery alone could take years. Even winning will bankrupt the company through legal costs. That afternoon, more legal papers arrive. Gerald Hutchinson is suing for wrongful removal from the board and defamation. The bank, despite being paid in full, is suing to place oversight requirements on the company to protect their interests in case we need future financing. 2 board members who voted for Gerald are threatening to resign, which would leave us without a quorum. At 4 p.m., our corporate intelligence consultant calls with more bad news. Titan Solutions just announced they're launching a competing product next month. The announcement includes screenshots that look suspiciously like Apex. They're clearly using the stolen software, and there's nothing I can do about it fast enough to stop the launch. I sit in my office late that night, alone. The city is dark except for scattered lights in other buildings where people are working late. I've fought for weeks. I sacrificed everything. I saved the company from foreclosure, and now I face legal annihilation. I have $14 in my personal account. No savings, no assets, nothing. The lawsuits will take years and cost millions. Even if I eventually win, the company can't survive years of litigation bleeding money on legal fees. My phone rings at 11 p.m. Unknown number again. I almost don't answer, but I pick up. Joanne, this is Douglas Whitmore, the Bridgemont chairman, the man who sold me the company. I heard about your legal troubles, Douglas says. I also heard you've been fighting like hell to save that company. I respect that. I'm calling because I have information you need. I'm listening. Bridgemont investigated Cassidy after our acquisition fell through. We discovered she's done this exact same scheme at 3 other companies over the past 8 years. She gets hired, steals intellectual property, gets fired or forced out, then sues for wrongful termination. Companies settle to avoid litigation costs. She's made $48 million in settlements. Why are you telling me this? I ask. Because I'm tired of seeing people like her get away with corporate theft, Douglas says. I have evidence. Emails from her previous victims, witness testimony, documentation of her pattern. I'm willing to share all of it if you'll take her down. Really take her down. Not just settle quietly. What do you mean? File criminal charges, Douglas says. Industrial espionage, wire fraud, theft of trade secrets. Make this a criminal case, not just civil litigation. Put her in prison where she belongs. That's nuclear, I say. If I go after her criminally, she'll fight with everything she has. It could get much uglier. It's already as ugly as it gets, Douglas replies. You're facing bankruptcy through lawsuits anyway. Might as well fight back. I'll provide everything you need. I think about the employees who invested their savings, about Philip risking his retirement, about Arthur prepaying his contract, about everyone who believed in me. They deserve better than watching this company die in litigation. Send me everything you have, I tell Douglas. Let's finish this. I spend the next week working with Douglas and Philip to build a criminal case. Douglas provides documentation from 3 previous companies where Cassidy pulled the same scheme. Former executives willing to testify. Email trails showing a clear pattern. Evidence that she specifically targeted companies with valuable intellectual property, got herself hired into executive positions, stole what she could, then manufactured wrongful termination claims. We present everything to the FBI's white-collar crime division. The agent assigned to the case is a woman named Jennifer Brooks, mid-40s, sharp-eyed and thorough. She reviews our evidence carefully. Within 2 weeks, she finds additional evidence at all 3 previous companies. Bank records showing Cassidy's settlement payments. Communications proving she planned the thefts in advance. Connections to other individuals who helped her execute the schemes. Federal charges are filed. Wire fraud, theft of trade secrets, extortion. The charges carry potential prison time of 15 to 20 years. The moment federal charges become public, Cassidy's civil lawsuits collapse like a house of cards. Her credibility is destroyed. Her attorneys withdraw, unwilling to represent someone facing federal criminal charges. She's forced to drop all claims against me and the company. The lawsuits simply disappear. Gerald Hutchinson sees the investigation expanding. The FBI starts asking questions about his role in the conspiracy. He drops his lawsuit against me and quietly resigns from Titan's board. His reputation in the business community is destroyed. Within 3 months, he's forced to retire from banking entirely. Continental First Bank, seeing the criminal case validates our position, settles for basic reporting requirements. They actually apologize for the stress their foreclosure threat caused. The FBI investigation into Titan Solutions reveals they knowingly received stolen software from Cassidy. Titan's CEO resigns. Their stock plummets. Federal charges are filed against 3 Titan executives. Within 6 months, Titan is acquired by another firm at a fraction of its previous value. The competing product launch is canceled. The company that tried to destroy us is destroyed instead. With the legal threats gone, I focus entirely on rebuilding. I rehire employees who want to return. I promote the people who stayed loyal. Trevor becomes Chief Operating Officer. Carmen becomes Vice President of Human Resources. Marcus becomes Chief Technology Officer. I give them all substantial salary increases and equity stakes in the company. I launch Apex as a standalone product, licensing it to other companies in different industries. The software generates $89 million in licensing revenue in the first year. Clients who left come back. New clients sign up. Word spreads that we're a company with integrity, that we fight for what's right. The company returns to profitability within 6 months. Annual revenue grows to $240 million, up from $176 million before the acquisition. The company's value triples to $650 million. My personal net worth, tied up in company equity, reaches $320 million. I don't forget the people who stood by me. The 47 employees who invested their savings, see their $4,300,000 become $32 million in value within 18 months. I give Philip shares worth $20 million as thanks for risking his retirement. Arthur becomes not just a client but a close friend and advisor, joining the board and helping guide strategy. The federal trial happens 14 months after charges are filed. I testify about what Cassidy did to our company. Other victims testify about their experiences. The evidence is overwhelming. The jury deliberates for 6 hours and returns guilty verdicts on all counts. Cassidy is sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. She's ordered to pay restitution of $38 million to all the companies she defrauded. Her career is over. Her reputation is destroyed. She'll be nearly 50 years old when she's released, and no company will ever hire her again. I feel no satisfaction from her prison sentence. I feel satisfaction from what I built. The company is thriving. My people are rewarded. Justice was served. That's enough. 1 year after buying the company, I address our annual company meeting. We've grown to 207 employees, up from the 130 when I started. The conference center is full. People are smiling. The mood is optimistic. I tell my story publicly for the first time. About being fired, about buying the company, about the weeks of crisis after crisis, about the people who believed in me when belief seemed foolish. I share the whole journey because I want everyone to understand how we got here. A year ago, I was fired from the company I helped build. The person who fired me thought I was powerless. She thought my time was over. But here's what she didn't understand. Your time isn't over when someone tells you it is. Your time is over when you believe them. I didn't believe her. I fought back, not with anger, but with strategy. I risked everything I had, because I believed in what we built together. And when things got worse, and they got much worse, I kept fighting because I wasn't alone. You fought with me. You invested in me. You believed when belief seemed foolish. That's the real lesson here. Success isn't about never falling down. It's about who stands with you when you do, and whether you have the courage to stand back up. We didn't just save a company. We proved that loyalty, determination, and doing the right thing still matter in business. We proved that people who cheat and manipulate don't always win. Sometimes the good guys win. Sometimes justice happens. And when it does, it's sweeter than any revenge could ever be. The room erupts in applause. People are standing, some are crying, and I feel genuinely grateful for every person in this room. Later that day, I sit in my office, the same office where Cassidy fired me. But it feels completely different now. It's mine. Not because I bought it, but because I earned it. There's a photo on my desk of the employees who pooled their savings, their faces full of hope and determination. My phone buzzes with a news alert. Cassidy Hart sentenced to 6 years. I read it and feel nothing but relief that it's over. I open my laptop and see an email from a young entrepreneur asking for advice. She's facing similar challenges with a hostile takeover attempt. I write her back. Someone once tried to end my career in a single day. Instead, that day became the beginning of the best chapter of my life. Not because I got revenge, but because I refused to let someone else define my worth. When people try to destroy you, they're really just revealing their own weakness. Your strength isn't in never being knocked down. It's in the choice to get back up, to fight smarter, not harder, and to remember that the people who truly matter will stand with you. Build something worth fighting for. Surround yourself with people worth fighting alongside. And never let anyone tell you your time is over. You decide when your time is over. Nobody else. I hit send and close my laptop. Tomorrow I'm meeting with a startup founder who's facing corporate sabotage. I've become a mentor to entrepreneurs dealing with workplace injustice. I've turned my painful experience into a mission, helping others fight back against people like Cassidy and Gerald. The company I saved is now a force for good in the industry. And I've found my true purpose, not just building businesses, but building people up. I look out the window at the city below. The sun is setting, painting the buildings gold and orange. I think about how far I've come. From that moment when Cassidy said your time is over to this moment now, owning and running a thriving company worth $650 million, I think about the employees who believed in me. About Arthur prepaying his contract. About Philip risking his retirement. About every person who stood by me when standing by me seemed like the worst decision they could make. They were right to believe. We proved that together. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone tried to convince you that your time was over? Maybe a boss who underestimated you, a colleague who betrayed you, or a system that seemed designed to keep you down? How did you fight back? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone else who's facing their own battle right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories about resilience and justice. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to hear more stories about everyday people who refused to give up when everything seemed lost. These stories matter because they remind us that we're not alone in our struggles. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their time isn't over just because someone said it was. Share it with the person who's facing their own Cassidy, their own Gerald, their own impossible situation. Let them know that fighting back is possible, that justice sometimes happens, and that the people who stand by you are worth more than any amount of money. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. And remember, you decide when your time is over. Nobody else gets that power unless you give it to them. Don't give it to them. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Keep standing back up every single time. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.